biology class.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call to order the Regional Governing Board, Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School District regular meeting for Monday, October 19th, 2015. I want to welcome everybody who's here this evening. Thank you for coming out. And I also want to welcome our audience from CAT TV, those who are watching this meeting. As always, we'll start with public comments. Do we have any public comments? While we're on the subject, though, I'm going to ask our director. I noticed now in our agenda we post our go-to meeting information, and we've had some go-to meetings. All right. Is it possible for the public to come in on a go-to meeting?
It is.
Platform? Okay. Yes. I think that we're going to try to encourage that with the public to be able to drop the screen and have the public to log into our meetings to make some comments would be very helpful. It would be a step out to the community as well in keeping us in touch with the community, better opportunities for the public to come in and make some comments or some suggestions to our board here. So we're going to pursue that in the future. Okay. Seeing no public comments, then we'll go ahead and start off with the consent agenda this evening. The minutes from the RGB full board meeting, they're in the Dropbox in your packet. I was not here for that meeting, so I'm going to ask for a recommendation that they be accepted. All right, it's moved by Francis.
I saw a typo.
Okay, good.
It's line 36 under superintendent's report. It should be stated, and it says stated.
All right,
It should be.
we'll make that correction. Did I have a second for that motion?
Gloria
Did you
did.
second that,
I'll
Gloria?
second it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I thought she did.
All right. Any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor of accepting them with the correction, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor. Are those opposed? And those abstaining?
I wasn't here,
So I wasn't either. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got it, okay, good. Payroll warrants, number 7, 10, 10, 8, 10, 12.
So moved.
Second. By Francis, seconded by Ricky. Any discussion on the payroll warrants? All in favor then, please signify by raising your hand on those. That's unanimous, Barb. Vendor warrants 10, 11, and 10, 13.
So moved.
Second it.
Moved by Francis, seconded by Leon. Any discussion on the vendor warrants? Those two are in the packet if you have a chance to go through those. All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor then of accepting those, please signify by raising your hand as well. That looks like it's unanimous as well, Barb. Any discussion on the cash flow, revenue, expenses, statements? None. I am going to ask Stephanie then if, just to give me somewhat of a heads up about our planning for the budget for the next fiscal year that we'll be entering our cycle probably next month, and that if you can get us some type of a schematic or some type of an outline as to how you think we should best proceed with that, and have that ready for us for next month so that we can.
I spoke with Mike earlier about it, and I was actually wondering if we could possibly have a finance meeting before the next board meeting, and I could send out a schedule. I'm set to send out budget information to the teachers again, and we're going to proceed in the same way we did last year.
Okay.
But we were hoping to step up the process by a week or so that we have the potential to have more finance committee meetings if necessary.
Okay, so we'll look for the finance committee to meet then prior to the next board meeting, and we'll get some dates then.
Yeah.
To set up for that, when we'll coordinate with you on that. Good, good. All right. Committee reports. The Strategic Planning Committee met prior to this meeting. It started at 5:30. And Gloria, you want to give us a rundown
Well,
of what
I'll
was
just
covered?
briefly tell you, because Mike will be explaining it more. We did talk about the community luncheon and areas for improvement that we will, faculty will be working on. And then a school improvement plan and work-based learning, which is one of the goals that we're working on. And there's a sheet that has the goals, strategies, and actions, which is terrific. And we got to look at this at our meeting and talk about it some. And I think Mike will be telling more about this tonight. And so we had a lot to discuss and a lot more for our next meeting, which will be just before the board meeting at 5:30.
Good. And Mike is going to, in his superintendent's report, cover more on work-based learning that he went in detail with at the meeting, so, which is, as Gloria stated, it's the #1 priority right now. All right. Any other committee reports?
Education didn't meet.
Okay. And I would suggest that probably you might want to look at doing that again before the budget process, if there's anything that comes up that you think that we should be aware of when we're building that budget, so.
Yep, and you got policy with me next week, 3 o'clock.
I see that agenda, it's pretty intensive, there's plenty of policies, it looks like that we're either updating or renewing.
We're going to start the review process.
Review, okay, very good, Leon, thank you. All right, action items. We have removed the adult ed administrative specialist from the action items. So that one is being reevaluated. But we do have a VOTEC specialist, and that non-form is in the Dropbox. If you had a chance to look at it, if not, please do so now.
Can you speak about it?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Mike to give us a rundown on that.
So in your Dropbox is the nomination for Frank Nolan to replace a paraeducator who left at the beginning of the school year. It's not a new position, it's one we've had, it's just being filled. Frank has his bachelor's degree from St. Joseph's College. He's been a substitute teacher here at the CDC and for the SVSU for some time. And 35 years with Hoscott Builders. So Frank is known to us. We went through an interview process, and he's the candidate we're bringing forth for you tonight to vote on.
Any further discussion on that? Can I have a motion then to accept this nomination for the VOTEC specialist? All right, by Francis, a second.
Second it.
Seconded by Leon. Any other discussion?
I have one.
Yep.
So he has a driver's license, bus driver's license?
Yes, he has a CDL already, and is working on will be working on the specialized bus endorsement.
Because that's what we discussed last month.
Correct.
Very good. Any other discussion? All those in favor then of this nomination, please signify by raising your hand. That's unanimous. Do you foresee the other one coming forth maybe next month then?
Yes.
That what your objective is, okay. All right, we have policies. Policy 1090C, the use of school facilities.
This is up for adoption on the policies now.
Okay, it's up for adoption.
Yeah.
I'll move it.
Yeah, I need a motion then on that.
I'll second it.
All right. Discussion.
There's no changes were made since we won it in terms of what we did there, making it so that the superintendent can have leeway and some things in there.
Okay. No major changes. All those in favor then of accepting this policy 1090C, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous. 4100C, alcohol and drug-free workplace.
So moved. Second.
Yeah.
Discussion on this?
We had no changes since our last meeting review, so we're still the same.
We're good to go with this one. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand on this. Unanimous. 4200C, HIPAA compliance.
So moved. Second.
Again, no changes since the last meeting.
All right. All those in favor? Again, unanimous. 6160C, animals in school.
So moved. Second.
And no changes since our warning.
No changes.
Yeah.
No animals in school. No changes for animals in school.
It's pretty hard sometimes. I shouldn't say that, but
All those in favor of this policy? Unanimous as well. And the last one, number 504C, HAB replacing C502, C503, and C5088. Can you give us a
So moved. Second.
rundown on that one, Leon?
Yep, and this is the one that's no changes to bullying, harassment, and so forth. We're now combating that all back together, and the procedures and everything are all in place, and we're moving right on from that. So we've not made any changes since the warning of that, and we asked that they start following those procedures as of last meeting. So,
Okay, and it's now all consolidated,
right,
looks
this
like.
is all set to go.
Okay, all those in favor of this policy, please signify by raising your hand as well. And that's unanimous as well, thank you. All right, superintendent's report.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to do my report in reverse order this month to mix things up. So we're going to start off this evening with adult education. Marie-Pierre?
Not much to bring up tonight. Our LNA students just started their clinical today, and I went to Crescent Manor to meet with them. It was wonderful to see them all wearing their burgundy scrubs and excited to be there. Our classes are going well, not quite as many as I would have liked, but compared to my colleagues in Vermont, we're doing really well with, lower but steady enrollments in our classes. So Spanish is finally on the docket this time around, and I think that's about it.
All right, good. I want to encourage the public to participate in our adult ed programs. We have some wonderful offerings, and you can find those on our website, or you can call our office here at the CDC to participate in terrific adult ed opportunities and continue in that opportunities.
Next, Meg's going to report to you on Act 77 flexible pathways and where the CDC is at with that in conjunction with our sending schools.
So just briefly, Act 77, like Mike said, is commonly referred to as flexible pathways to graduation. And the three of the areas it covers include developing personalized learning plans for students, proficiency-based graduation, and proficiency-based learning. So personalized learning plans covers college and career readiness, and the proficiency-based learning includes things like embedded academic credits in CTE programs and work-based learning experiences. Last year, Mike and I began to meet with MAU around wanting to make sure that we had a seat at the table when they discussed personalized learning plans as well as proficiency-based graduation requirements. So that discussion started last year. Along with the school improvement plan that we've developed, the 18 indicators led us to come up with some focus groups, focus teams that were going to focus on different areas, one of which was work-based learning, which addresses the proficiency-based learning, and recruitment retention, lends itself to college and career readiness, being part of personalized learning plans for students. Late September, Mike and I met with Glenda Cresto, the MAU principal, so that our students would be a part of taking a survey. And within that survey, it basically got feedback from students around their perceptions around Act 77, around proficiency-based graduation requirements. We also, last week, I was also interviewed by some key people that are involved in Act 77 on the MAU side. And from that, more discussion has been happening between MAU and us. We'll be reaching out to the other sending schools to find out what they're doing around Act 77 and how we can also, have a seat at the table. It just makes sense with CTE. We also, I also attended a meeting with Shaw Marie Aller and Tim Holbrook, Shaw Marie representing the State Board of Education, and various MAU folks, just to go over what we've done together around Act 77. And just some of the highlights that came out of our school improvement plan, what our work-based learning events look like, what our current guidance coordinator is working on, things like organizing college admission rep visits, which, I'm not sure how much that happened before. And I spoke to the industry recognized credentials. I basically told them what we do, which fits nicely into Act 77. This year, we'll continue to work with Molly Stark and some other schools to get into classrooms early, to introduce different careers to students. We'll continue with eighth grade tours. So a lot of this is constantly getting our name out there, constantly making sure people are aware and bringing it to the forefront, whether they're guiding a student or it's a parent, in the hopes that they see us fit into the personalized learning plans. They see how proficiency-based learning happens here. And, we'll continue to keep you guys up to date. I think the two best examples that speak to Act 77 here at this school is our sustainable agriculture and foods teacher has been inviting high school classes to come into her space and do different lab experiments, using her knowledge plus a science teacher's knowledge, really teaching students what that program is all about and allowing students to learn by doing. The other example is the partnership between the building trades teacher, Brian Kuhn, and Tim Kane, a math teacher at MAU. They've been co-teaching math in the building trades program since the beginning of the school year. They attended a summer program through the state to learn how they can co-teach together. And one of the comments that Tim made to me was that he's had some of these students in his geometry class in the past, and now he gets to see them actually learn by doing. It now makes sense to them when maybe it didn't make sense to them before. So I think the more we can partner with our sending schools, I mean, what it comes down to is it's best for kids. But we'll continue to keep you up to date on those. Any questions?
I've read Act 77 at one point, And I thought there was a provision in there that said that planning has to begin in the 9th grade.
Yep. This,
How do we mechanically coordinate that with the CDC and the sending schools? Because we should know what, or shouldn't we know what they're being told and what kids might be interested in coming here?
yep, and I think that goes back to, looking at Career Week, looking at when we can get into the classrooms to introduce different
Okay,
programs.
I got it.
Right, and then the other, we also will continue to do the 8th grade tour, which by the time the students meet with their school counselor, they'll have a good idea of what programs we offer here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Meg, when are personalized lesson
Learning plans.
plans, when are they first developed in students?
This current freshman class at the high school, they're developing them for those students, but I believe, I believe the expectation is that they will be developed during middle school.
During middle school?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to be phasing them in over the next few classes until they're fully implemented.
And how is it managed? Is it done by the guidance departments, or is it?
I think the guidance department will have a lot to do with it. I know next door at Mount Anthony, they've talked about the seminar teachers actually being the ones that will develop the plan. The seminar is the advisory class where,
Right.
they've been doing for a few years. So, I mean, I would hope to think it's not just one person. I would hope to think that, it's a few people involved in that student's life that has input into it. I believe they're using their Naviance program, which has a PLP tab within it, so that will serve as the actual document. Teachers will have access to it. So I think it's going to be more than just one person,
Well, I would hope.
more than just one department
Yeah.
in charge of it.
It is.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
More than one person.
You'd have to have at least parents involved as well
So it'll be-
in something like that, yeah. But wherever we can reach out and be a part of, it's certainly going to be to our benefit to stay on top of those.
Yep, and the meetings we've had at the high school, the tone, and jump in, Mike, if I'm not saying the right thing, but the tone is, how can we work together? How can you help us? How can we, it's been
been a very
very supportive.
collaborative.
It's been very, it makes sense to both sides, which is helpful, I think, in forging a partnership around this.
Good, good,
Thank you, Meg.
thank you.
So I'm going to just dovetail in with what Meg was talking about. Act 77 was signed into law in 2013 by Governor Shumlin. And the personalized learning plans are just one small piece of Act 77. I brought these up here so I wouldn't miss any. The intentions behind Act 77 were implementing PLPs, but also expansion of the existing statewide dual enrollment programs, expansion of the early college programs, increased access to work-based learning, increased virtual and blended learning opportunities, and increased access to career and technical education. We fit a lot of those bills here at this center and centers across the state. We already do proficiency-based learning, so we're really well poised to help high schools who are used to not doing proficiency-based learning, show how we do that. And the partnerships that Meg spoke about are just the very beginning of forging strong relationships with folks at other schools. Tim Kane co-teaching math with Brian in building trades is one example. And I've talked about it last month and the month before, but they're going all out with this. And it's a great partnership where they both see the value of each other. And they can come to the same answer to a math problem 4 different ways, and none of them are wrong. They're just a different way to get to the math problem. And we're seeing that with Amy, our sustainable foods instructor. Every time I go down past that way, there's a chemistry class in there with her, or there's a physics class, and there's some lesson tied to something. So that's what we're encouraging, seeing in more and more of that. So it's very exciting to see kids. And it's also recruiting. Folks that know what we do over here, they travel, that word travels next door. And not just here, but as you know, we're doing outreach in Arlington. We have the forensics program there. We've got offers to be at Burton next year. So we are expanding these things. We just have to, we can't go too fast, all the time. So with that, I'm not going to give the same full report that I gave to the Strategic Planning Committee. We'd be here for an hour or so, and so I want to give you a kind of a summarized version of that. The 1-year plan for work-based learning, as well as the 1-year plan, draft plans for recruitment and retention, are in your Dropbox under superintendent documents. They are there. So briefly, to recap, you know that we've been involved with SRAB and Tech Centers That Work, and these plans came out of work done by our faculty and staff, everyone that works in this building, through Linda Jackson at our in-service in August, and have continued on since then. Out of it, we have 4 focus teams, as Meg had mentioned, 1 on work-based learning, 1 on recruitment and retention, 1 on safety, and 1 on student recognition and professional development for our faculty and staff. All of those 4 focus teams have members of the faculty and staff on them, self-selected by their own interest level. Some have more than others. I'll tell you that work-based learning has the most number of people on it interested in increasing access for students to work-based learning opportunities. Every committee, take that back, we're trying not to use the word committee, focus team. Every focus team has a lot of energy behind it. And the faculty and staff here are really excited about these plans and being involved in these strategies and action steps as we go forward with school improvement. So I'm going to focus on work-based learning tonight and not the rest of them. So draft ideas. By June 2016, 2017, a minimum of 2 to 3 students from each program will be involved in a full work-based learning experience to develop higher level critical thinking skills, problem solving, and decision-making skills in a complex work environment. So that doesn't sound like much. Well, last year we did at least 1 student from every program. This year it's 2 to 3 students from every program being in a full work-based learning experience. We have to have goals that are reachable. So we're going to be there by the end of the year. We're well on our way. The second goal, by 2016-17, 100% of students at the CDC will be involved in a career awareness or career exploration activities such as career talks, career days or fairs, workplace and industry tours, job shadowing, and job rotations. And I want to repeat myself again. We know those are limited exposure, but they expose students to what's available. We are well on our way to 100%. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm thinking by January or February we're going to meet or exceed that. I know last month I reported to this board, without having it in front of me, I believe there's 134 students exposed to some form of work-based learning. I can tell you that this month there's another 119, okay, exposed to facets of industry, and those include Paul Smith College, Lake George Dinner Theater, Grafton Cheese Factory, the Vermont Police Academy, NSK, Pass On a Consignment Fair in Half Moon, our DECA competitions in Burlington, our FBLA in Montpelier, Russell Sage and UVM visits. Sustainable Foods has been to Wild Sword Farm, Clearbrook Farm, Breeze Hill Farm, True Love Farm, and this is a very short list of things that we've, since the last board meeting, what folks have been involved in. And so we are going full bore with this. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of resources, a lot of time, but it's important for her students. So some of the strategies and action steps that were identified by the faculty and staff to assist with work-based learning placements were expedite placements for students more quickly, develop a school-wide prerequisite for work-based learning students. Teachers need to identify students who are ready for work-based learning earlier. We talked about the barriers to work-based learning. There are a lot of them. And I don't want to focus on the barriers, but there are barriers to work-based learning, whether it's here or any school. Examples are transportation, sports, other after-school classes and programs, academic requirements, certain age requirements, schedules, the negative perception. Some students just aren't ready for work-based learning. We don't want them out representing us yet. It doesn't mean they're not ever going to be. And by some students perceived to be too much work, one of the other easier options than a full work-based learning experience. Those are some barriers we're up against. Career talks and career prep, that's those 100% of program students attending workplace tours and individual tours. There's 4 pages here. Instructors to do checking in on work-based learning students, advisory committees, building on existing programs, and replicate to all programs in collaboration with the advisory committee. I think we can all recognize that we have some very good work-based learning going on in some of our programs. I think we've said that right along, but it needs to be in all of our programs, not just 2 or 3. And so one of them is taking the model that worked for those 2 and 3 and making it work in some aspect for all of our programs. And I can tell you that we're on our way to doing that. So I don't want to spend a lot of time going through every single goal and every single action item, but they are in your Dropbox to look at. If you want a paper copy, we can get that to you as well. I have extras from the Strategic Planning Committee. And so this is what I said we're going to develop to this board back in August, a 30, 60, 90-day, 1-year plan of what we're going to do. Work-based learning, retention, recruitment, safety, professional development, student recognition. And here is the first of those for you. I want to recognize the hard work that the faculty and staff have done to put these together. This is not, I can't take credit for doing this. It's just help facilitate it. This is all the collective work of faculty and staff. I can tell you that work-based learning coordinator is very excited about the opportunities and the structure of this and what we're doing. So unless you have questions about what we're doing with work-based learning this early in the game, I'll be happy to answer them, but the full report is in there. It is in draft form because it will be continued to be added to and modified as the days progress.
Maybe I didn't hear it all, but are competitions in there too? Kind of collegiate?
Yep, through our CTSOs, through our student organizations such as DECA and FBLA. And they just competed in Burlington and Montpelier. We're not pretending that's a work-based learning experience at all, but it is exposure to different aspects of those careers through those student organizations.
So I think they're really important to compete
Yeah.
academically, not just
Absolutely. And our students generally do very well at these both state and national competitions. I mean, don't forget, we have gold medal U.S. winners here in this building for student competitions. That's no small feat to come back with a national gold medal for academics. You're right. You're right. We hope to have more participation in our CTSOs. Just like our work-based learning, there are barriers to getting kids into CTSOs and funding them and all the schedules and things, but we do, our biggest CTSO is Skills USA, which really starts to gear up kind of late winter, early spring. Our FBLA and DECA, they're already geared up. So, anything else I can answer for folks? Yes.
Mike, what would you say is the 1 or 2 programs that you really struggle to find work-based learning experiences for?
Video and theater arts would be one of them. Not a ton of options in town. I mean, we have Old Castle, we have Cat TV. There are some in the North Side, GNAT and other.
How about
Hoosick, but they're not abundant of places. That's probably the hardest. The second one would be really law enforcement because of the sensitive nature of the field. You're not going to have students necessarily, all students exposed to all facets of law enforcement. We have had and will continue to have plenty of single internships or work-based learning experiences, but agencies are selective and they need to be of students that they take for various reasons. So those are probably the 2 most difficult.
How about courts?
Courts are, you wouldn't think they're too bad, but they don't fit in our schedule well because of the time our school day runs.
So we have 2 of them in town.
We do, at least 2. And the problem is they don't really wind up till about 9, and they're, kind of over, they work till 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and our school day runs from 7:30 to 2 o'clock. And so, unless a student's scheduled in that time, it's just hard. And so those
Can
some of
we
the-
do some flex time on that?
It's hard to flex a student's schedule, because they're kind of set from their sending school, and our classes only run at a certain time. So, we talked about flexible pathways, and it's certainly something that can be looked at, but not right now, no. Anything else? Okay. So, again, that's the concise version on work-based learning, all right? If you have questions about it, it is in the Dropbox. I passed around to you before the meeting started. There's a couple letters here. There's two-sided. We talked about this as strategic planning. One is from Burton Academy. One is from the Delta Kappa Gamma chapter. It doesn't matter which side you start on. It's nice when we receive thank you letters and accolades from folks that we serve. And the one from Burton Academy, our new guidance coordinator, Tom Pasternak, spent some time up there and was received very well with his presentation. And you can take a look at it there, thanking us for his presentation, wants to come back for more in the future, and set up shop in their cafeteria to get more students access to the CDC. That was nice from Tony, their external learning coordinator at BBA. The other side is a thank you letter for Delta Kappa Gamma. It's not for me, they're thanking me, but I'm not taking any thanks for it. I want to give credit to, again, our guidance counselor, Tom Pasternak, and the 3 honor students from our law enforcement program that gave the tours for us. We presented in here. I always think it's best for students to represent the center when possible. It was kind of a last-minute call with the students, and our law enforcement program is always willing to help us out. And Jess, if I could call on you for a second, you made a comment in the strategic planning meeting about this, so.
I'm a member of Delta Kappa Gamma, Society of Women Educators, and all of the women raved about their experience at the CDC, and my mom had one of the law enforcement students as her guide and was incredibly impressed, so bravo to everyone.
It's always nice to get that kind of feedback, and that's why I want to share it with the board tonight. We often get anecdotal feedback, but it's very rare that people send us letters to thank us for what we've done. So, we serve a whole community. This room here is always being used for some community event, whether it's our own or something we're hosting or something we're hosting for Mount Anthony or the town or the state, you name it. And this room was used a lot. So we serve quite a variety of folks. That kind of concludes my superintendent's report for the evening. Unless there's questions, I want to be sensitive to people's time. We've got a lot. We covered a lot of strategic planning, I know, and I'm happy to take questions. But if there aren't any, that concludes my report.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. As far as my report, I was not here at the last meeting, so I wasn't able to give you a rundown on the community event that took place on August 25th. Our luncheon we had with business people and community people. It was very successful in my opinion, and I had a chance to talk with a number of people in the community. And since then, Mike has consolidated. I know he gave you a report last month about what they discussed and some of the topics that went around at the various tables. The theme that keeps occurring, in my opinion, is the community wants to be involved with the CDC. The CDC wants to be involved in the community, and I really applaud Mike and the administration for the work they're doing on this work-based learning project. I think it really is a great way for us to get out into the community and to experience more of what the community can offer our students as well as what we can offer them. So I am very appreciative as to how that's going. I know it's taken a lot of time and energy on your part, but it's going to be well worth it. There's no doubt in my mind. I think the community is going to appreciate it as well. I want to also thank the members of the community, the business people, the organizations, out there, the town of Bennington that work with us in helping us place students in work-based learning opportunities. It's so critical for us. The presentation on Act 77 is a good example of how, again, we can work that into the community, into our students. So, charge on. Good job.
I missed one thing.
Yes, you did. Go ahead.
I missed one thing in my superintendent's report, and this is gonna be a press release, I would assume it'll be in the banner in the next few days, but I wanted you to hear it here first. I know I spoke about it last month, I believe at this meeting, very briefly, so it's not long, I'm gonna read this to you so I don't mess it up. This is gonna be the press release. The Culinary Arts Program at the Career Development Center has partnered with a local nonprofit organization known as Grateful Hearts. Grateful Hearts is dedicated to creating more efficient methods to utilize all surplus produce that is made available by local farms. All surplus produce is converted into ready-made meals that prioritize improving the nutritional diet of our neighbors who rely on local food pantries for their food sustenance. Based on our success, the Grateful Hearts will assist with other Heart chapters throughout Vermont in an effort to help implement essential farm-to-plate strategies that are critical to the future growth and prosperity of all people, where hunger is an everyday battle that affects all members of a family. Dale Coppin, the president of Grateful Hearts, works with the Twilight Program by going out into the fields and gleaning the produce that was missed from farming equipment. They then bring the produce into places in need, such as the kitchen cupboard, Harvest House, Meals on Wheels, etc. Due to the amount of food left after donating to these programs, Dale approached the culinary program this year in order to find alternative uses for the excess food. Some of the uncommon products, such as kale and rutabaga, require more of a culinary background in order to utilize it. In order to help Grateful Hearts utilize these products, the culinary program will process the items into ready-made soups, stews, and casseroles. Once the culinary students create meals with the food, it is then transported to a packaging facility. This facility portions, packages, and freezes the meals. Dale then again partners with the Twilight Program and gives the packaged food to families in the area who are experiencing need. Our first attempt resulted in cream of ginger carrot soup, roasted cauliflower soup, and borscht. We produced over 80 gallons of soup for the local community. We just received another shipment of products, and the students will be working on processing them this week. We're very excited about this program, and students are feeling the satisfaction of helping members of our community during their times of need.
Excellent.
Terrific.
Yep. Outstanding. We always like to hear reports like that.
Yep.
Is there any other business before the board this evening? All right, here and then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
All right, all in favor? Thank you for coming out